Love to bring value. I love to bring value. And we're going to make sure that we offer my real estate roundup people a discount, brother Eric, and the link is going to be in the video description for my viewers
That's cool.
to see your beautiful smile and beard. I should bring my beard out. Roundup family, greetings, class. Greetings. What's going down? What's going down? Always something here at the Real Estate Roundup. Yes. Thank you for joining us, class. This is Chris Haskins. You know, my mission and ministry is to raise your financial literacy through real estate investing and entrepreneurship. In doing that, I get to rub elbows with some real winners in the business. People that know a lot more than me, people that are doing the business, not only just talking about it, because I don't got time to talk about it. Matter of fact, this gentleman here took me a couple of days just to get him on a video here because he's busy doing the business. Rounduppers, today I'd like to introduce you to my friend Eric Yow. How you doing, brother Eric?
Man, I'm great. Thanks. Appreciate you letting me be here.
Yeah, Rounduppers, I'm going to give you a few seconds to log in here. The purpose of this video today was not only to introduce you to brother Eric and share his background with you and the things that he has done and is doing, but to give you a different vantage point and a different point of view, if you will, on how to accumulate rental properties and build your wealth. Further, Eric and I will both be speaking at my boy Matthew Lyell is going to be having his cash flow showcase in Nashville, December 12th through the 14th, and brother Eric will be one of the speakers there. So he's going to be dropping some nuggets today and just share with you a little bit about what he's going to be teaching and training on that beautiful weekend down in Nashville. And the link for that cash flow showcase is in the video description. Roundup family, make sure you join us. You will get a $500 discount if you go through my link and give them the coupon code Chris so they can know that you're part of the Real Estate Roundup family. All right, enough of that. Brother Eric.
Here we are.
Yeah, finally got you, my friend. So it looks like here you are a landlord. You've got over 50 doors. I'm honored to know that and to get some nuggets from you today. Second is you're renovating houses, buying and selling out there. Are you specifically doing deals only in the Clarksville, Tennessee area, or are you all around?
No, we live, work, and invest in Clarksville. I've got just a little bit just outside of Clarksville, Tennessee, but because this is where home is to me, it's where I've learned how to invest, and it's where we're putting it to work.
Nice. So the crazy thing is you are a litigation attorney.
Yeah, criminal defense attorney.
Criminal defense. I mean, does that equal I mean, you're litigating with that, right?
Yeah, I mean, to say litigant or litigating attorney is to contrast with a transactional lawyer. A transactional lawyer will sit at a desk and do paperwork and live a very boring life. Where I get to, no, I'm just kidding, of course, I get to go to the courtroom and I'm arguing cases. And I'm specifically on the criminal defense side, representing people accused of crimes in state court, specifically here in Montgomery County, Tennessee.
Wow. I bet, no doubt, you could write several books based on what you've seen over the past few years.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I just got a message just a few minutes ago. I had tried a case last year where a client of mine was accused of first-degree murder.
Oh, wow.
And the trial went 6 days. I actually got a very good result for my client. He is in prison and doing some time, although not a lot. And his two co-defendants both got life in prison.
Oh, wow.
And just got that message just a few minutes ago about the co-defendant. So, I mean, I like being there to help people when they're facing challenging times, even like that.
That's deep. So what in the world, how are you coming from that world to the real estate investing world with owning over 50 doors? How does that mesh? How did that come together?
Well, like a lot of people, I saw real estate as an avenue for financial freedom. And it's a means to an end, obviously. Everybody wants to retire early or replace their day job or secure their financial freedom. And real estate being the way that I chose to do that, as well as business, and we can talk about business perhaps on another occasion, creating passive income, specifically through rental real estate. Now, what we had intended to do was buy a few rentals over the course of a year or two or three or four, and then try to accumulate maybe 10 rentals. And as you can imagine, you start learning a few things. You gain more knowledge the later you go, the further you get into it.
Matriculate. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the Dunning-Kruger effect. You should look that up sometime. The more you know, the more you realize you don't know.
That's
So
right.
when you don't, the Dunning-Kruger effect is when you don't know anything, you think you know stuff, but you don't know that you don't know stuff because you don't know stuff. But once you do know stuff, then you realize there's so much more that you don't know. So
Wow.
as you get further and further into real estate, I started finding out, man, I don't need to just do rentals. I can do flips, and I don't have to do one acquisition a quarter. I could buy a fourplex this quarter, and now I've filled my quota for the year. What am I going to do the rest of the year? Well, let's buy 3 more fourplexes, and now we've gotten 16 for the year, and then just continuing
Wow.
to grow the portfolio.
That's interesting. You mentioned that to me, brother Eric, because I too, it's almost like when I'm hearing you saying, you're specifically saying numbers, and I feel like you had a goal, and then when you pass that goal, it's like, now what?
It's funny. My goals changed long before I ever reached them. When I first started, and you may not believe this, but it was the beginning of 2017, January of 17, when I first started this journey. And I
What?
thought, I want to get one house per quarter in the year of 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And like many of your, I'm sure your guests are more successful than I am, Matt, far greater. I've surpassed that very quickly. And so long before the end of 2017, I decided, well, here's another goal. And then I set
Good.
another goal, and then
Good.
another one, and then another.
Good.
And I thought I wanted 40 by 40. As in, I wanted 40 doors by
40
the
by
time I
40.
turned 40.
40 by
And it was
40.
cute. It was easy to say, it was something catchy. But 40 by 40 was too easy.
Wow.
And I mean, before you knew it, I had 40. I'm 37 now, so
What?
there's a lot of daylight left, if you know what I'm saying. So now my goal is 120 by 40, and I have every expectation that I'm going to beat that goal. I may beat it next year. I don't know, but that's now a little bit more, maybe a tighter, closer to reality goal. I want to get 120 doors by 40.
Gotcha.
So I got
Wow,
about
man.
3 more years left.
You're grinding, my friend. Wow, you're so young, dude. Anyway, I'm 43, so I'm looking back like, okay, so we were talking about what I want to know. How in the heck are you we were talking about financing and speed. Which one you want to hit first, brother Eric?
Well, I think they go hand in hand because, so when you asked me for a title, I said I got the need for speed. That's
Yeah.
what I like as a mantra in all of the facets that I engage in real estate investing. Because if I've got a rehabber that is faster than everybody else, or if I've got a banker that moves faster than everybody else, or if I can more readily access cash, if I've got a real estate agent who can close faster, a title company, which like we just started, that can close fast, then we'll be able to move faster. And I have a race car and I race. So let me draw an
Okay.
analogy for you. The fastest guy around the racetrack is going to be the one who wins, right? Well, if I'm faster than everybody else that I'm competing with in the real estate market, who's going to win?
I guess it would be you.
And I want, I don't play the game to lose. I want to win. And so if I can find the deal faster, if I can get the bank money faster, if I can renovate the property faster, if I can move my property managers to get them rented faster, if I can refinance the house faster to get it off my line of credit faster,
Wow.
if I could do all those things fast, then we're more able to reach what I call escape velocity in
Escape
residential
velocity.
real estate.
What do you mean by that, Eric?
Well, in physics, escape velocity is the minimum speed at which a body must be traveling to escape the gravitational pull of a larger or another body. So, for instance, the moon is not traveling at escape velocity.
Gotcha.
It's traveling at a velocity, but it's not at escape velocity. But there is a velocity at which, if the moon were traveling that velocity, it would leave the orbit of Earth. It would escape. It's in physics. In rocket ships, they've got to reach a certain velocity to escape the gravitational pull of Earth,
Mm-hmm.
and so forth. Well, if you're talking about escaping, say, the daily grind, or escaping your day job, or reaching financial freedom, how fast do you have to move in residential real estate How fast do you have to move in business or entrepreneurialism or whatever to obtain the success that you need so that you can escape the thing from which you were trying to escape, whether it's your daily grind or your debt. If you're, in the Dave Ramsey plan of trying to dominate your debt, how fast do you have to move?
Yeah.
And to kind of bring it to home in numbers that your viewers might benefit from, if you think, well, if I just had 60 grand a year, I could quit my day job. All right, well, that's $5 grand a month. Take that 5 grand, divide by 100. I need about 50 doors. 50 doors that cash flow $100 a month. Now, yeah, you could do 25 doors that cash flow 200, but say you need 50 doors that each cash flow $100 a month. Well, how long is it going to take to get there? Well, if you buy one a year, 50 years. If you buy two a year, 25 years. If you buy 5 a year, it's still going to take you 10 years. If you buy 5 houses a year, it takes you 10 years. I want to move faster than that. I want to move a lot faster than that.
Faster? Well, 10 years. I mean, I'm just thinking about people don't retire from their job in 10 years, Eric.
But residential real estate would let them do that if you move fast enough.
Wow.
But the question is, how fast do you have to move? See, in calculating escape velocity in physics, there's a minimum speed to reach escape velocity. It's the minimum speed to escape the gravitational pull of the near body with mass. Okay. So in residential real estate, if you set your goal, whatever that goal is, maybe it's 60,000 a year, maybe it's 120,000 a year. You're only creating a minimum. Well, if your minimum is 50, all right, well, what if I want 100 houses? What if I want 1,000 houses?
Wow.
Or what if I want 100 houses plus 1,000 in multifamily? I want to buy 10 100-unit apartment complexes. I mean, the sky's the limit.
Yeah.
Candidly, I don't know the body of viewers that you have. I don't know. Everybody's going to be at a different level. Some are just starting. Some are far surpassing in our success and are trying to get a refresher on stuff like this. But whatever that goal is, we're talking about minimums. Well, if you know I need to get 50 houses that cash flow $100 a month, or 50 units, you can buy quads or whatever.
Yeah, doors.
The minimum you can mathematically calculate, well, I need 5 a year for 10 years. All right, so how do you do that? And one of the things that I can teach, that I'll be teaching at Matt's seminar, is how to do that. And one of the ways is with lines of credit.
Gotcha. Okay.
Leveraging your house with a home equity line of credit, things like that. Doing so safely. I don't teach, max out credit cards and get a bunch of cash. I don't teach that method. Mm-hmm. But the mechanism that I've been successful with is the BRRRR strategy using lines of credit.
Before we get into that, let's segue from speed. I like that analogy you did, man. Or were you a physics major or something? How did you?
No, just a little hobby.
Race car driver.
I just enjoy stuff. The creative components of God's earth. I like physics, geometry, math.
Wow.
I love racing. I used to be a pro pool player. I used to play on ESPN a little bit.
Dropped you anywhere. Round up, family. Let's hold that thought. I want to, because I have to remind myself to reintroduce you as people are logging on.
Oh, yeah.
So, Round Uppers, this is Chris Haskins hanging out with Eric Yow. We will be joining Matt Lyerla on December 12th. We're speaking at his cash flow showcase in Nashville, Tennessee. The link is below in the video description, and make sure you use coupon code Chris so you can get $500 off. We will be in the Gaylord in Nashville, Tennessee. And Eric, how far are you from there? You're already in Tennessee. How far are you?
About 45 minutes or so. Yeah.
Oh, you're lucky. You get to just drive down there. That is cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah, if he said it was in Wisconsin, I'd be like, nah.
So we're just sharing some of the tips and very briefly what Eric will be actually teaching down there. And we just covered the velocity. That was cool, man. Escape velocity. Now we're getting to some of his actual working parts, the moving parts of how to acquire that escape velocity, Eric. So go ahead. You were talking about the financing.
Yeah, one of the strategies that we employed was basically stashing cash or creating that liquidity so that you can invest. I'm convinced that the way to be successful in residential real estate is being able to move faster than the next guy, because if you're making an offer on a house and you make the offer on a house in MLS and you say cash, it's going to be viewed with wider open eyes than perhaps somebody who says, well, it's a conventional loan, FHA, no earnest money. So the guy that can move fast or the girl that can move fast is going to have better success. And
Later
so
on.
one of the things that we did was try to become highly liquid in the very beginning. Now, I didn't realize at the time that's what we were doing, but once we figured out that's what we were doing, obviously it was to our benefit. So I came from the Dave Ramsey school of thought regarding debt aversion. I did not like debt. We
Okay.
paid off all of our student loan debts from law school and consumer debt. And once I got in that mentality, my wife and I, we were committed. We're not going to have credit cards. We're not going to have any debt. This is long before rental real estate came into the equation. But we got all our debts paid off except for our home loan. And I thought, well, let's pay that off and get a line of credit so that if we ever needed to use it or wanted to invest in real estate, we could use that line of credit. Now, Dave Ramsey would say, don't do that. Don't put your four walls at risk, because obviously residential real estate or any investment has some risk amount to it. So don't do that. But I did it, and I think you can do it being smart. So we pay our house off, and what that did was give us basically a $200,000 line of credit. So if we wanted to go buy a boat or go on vacation, or guess what, invest in residential real estate, we had cash, we had liquidity. Fast forward several years, once we actually did start investing in residential real estate, that HELOC was the best thing that we could possibly use, because I could make cash offers and ultimately buy the house, close in a few days, or if I found a private seller and they wanted me to close fast because they're escaping foreclosure or something like that, we could close fast and then take it to a bank and refinance. Some of the local banks would give 75 or 80% loan to purchase price. Some would give 75 or 80% loan to value.
Gotcha.
And we really like those because let's say I buy the house that's worth $100,000. I buy it at 60. Well, if I buy it at 60 with my line of credit, I can close fast with that cash. And then in 10 to 14 days, our refi bank has refinanced that $100,000 house, and they'll give me 75 to 80% loan to value.
Mm.
Now, if that $60,000 house needed 15 grand in repairs to be rent ready, which is fairly common, we don't typically buy them turnkey, and even ones that we think are turnkey turn out not to be.
No.
But now we're 75 grand in this house on a line of credit. Well, 14 days later, my bank puts a commercial loan on it, 75% loan to value, pays that line of credit off. And now you know what I can go do with that line of credit? I can do it all over again and again and again.
Wash, rinse, repeat.
Wash, rinse, and repeat.
So
and that's the typical BRRRR strategy. And so it expanded in my mind. Well, if I've got a $200,000 line of credit, I could do $200,000 houses. Well, then I go to another bank and I say, can I get another 100? I go to another bank, can I get another 100? Can I go to another bank, can I get another 150? And so now we've got several $100,000 of liquidity in addition to the cash and the savings and so forth that we've got. It's not that we're 100% leveraged, obviously, but we've got the capacity to move quickly. And now we're buying 3 or 4 houses a month.
Wow. I heard you mention a term that I want to make sure my rounduppers understand. I heard you mention an acronym, HELOC. Could you kind of dive into that a little bit, Eric, for people that
absolutely. So an LOC, which is a line of credit, there's a HELOC, which is an HELOC, which is a home equity line of credit. Typically, it's a home equity line of credit is against one's primary residence, although you could have investment property, and if it was owned free and clear, you could put a line of credit against that or secured by that specific asset. An unsecured line of credit is exactly what you think. It's unsecured. There's no asset specifically. Sorry, that was my text message. There's no specific asset that is securing the property, so there's no right of recourse against or foreclosure right against a particular tangible asset. So in an unsecured line of credit, if you default on the loan, they're just going to sue you, and they're going to try to get whatever assets that they could get. Mm-hmm. And a secured line of credit could be secured by anything. We've got one line of credit that is secured by cash.
Wow.
So it looks, and we treat it like an unsecured line of credit, but it is at least partially secured by cash. I took some savings, we put it into a money market account, so it's making 2.3% or something in the money market, and it partially secures a larger line of credit. So a bank that won't give you 100, maybe you've got 20 or 50, you can put it in on deposit with them, and maybe then they'll give you 100.
Gotcha.
On the line of credit. Anyway, the HELOC, the home equity line of credit, it is secured by a tangible asset, typically your primary residence or an owned free and clear piece of rental
Gotcha.
property.
Gotcha.
They typically won't put a HELOC. Banks typically won't put a HELOC or a second mortgage on investment property. It's
Yeah.
typical. But it's brilliant because let's say you've got your $100,000 house that you paid 50 grand for. You got it at an absolute smoking deal, and you want to be able to have some liquidity. Well, you earn some money, or you refinance something and pull out more than your investment, and you pay off that 50 on this one house. Now this house is owned free and clear, right? You get $100,000 house where you take that to a bank and get a HELOC on it. Now you can pull that cash out and put it back in. Pull it out, put it back in. A line of credit differs from a mortgage because you have that in and out capacity.
What makes just so I want to stay in the framework to get a visual, because this is the model that I live by. I want to make sure it's coming from somebody else. Why is it important to bring the money out and put it back in at will? Why do I care about that, Eric?
So I like liquidity. I like when someone brings me a deal, I like being able to move on it. Somebody brought me a $300,000 house right now. Most of the people that are playing the game at the level where I'm playing it wouldn't be of the capacity to jump on that house. I would be able to because we've got that much liquidity. Well, the speed at which you're taking your portfolio, so not looking short-sighted at one house, looking long-term across your portfolio. Remember escape velocity. If I'm trying to get to 50 houses or to 100 houses or whatever your goal is, you're trying to get there. The speed at which you can go in and out of these loans, the lines of credit and the refinancing on to commercial loans is crucial. Because if it took, and just to, I guess to make up some numbers, if you bought a house on a line of credit and then you took that house to a commercial lender who's going to put a 5-year term, 20-year amortization, typical commercial loan on it, if they take 30 days to refinance that house, then with that line of credit, you could maybe buy 10 or 12 houses a year. Gotcha. But if your commercial lender will refinance you in 2 weeks, now you got 20 to 24 houses a year that you could buy with that one line of credit. But what if you had 2 or 3 lines of credit? Gotcha. Maybe one you're using to flip, another one you're using to acquire rental property. Anyway, you're developing the systems through that speed, and you're building momentum, you're building that velocity to reach your goals faster.
Now, when you say lines of credit, help me just once again, and then I'm going to leave this framework here. What you tell me about the interest you are paying? Why wouldn't I just want to have the money? I mean, am I paying interest on it when it's sitting, or when it takes out? Help me break that down for us.
So lines of credit, I mean, it varies from bank to bank as far as what your interest rate is going to be. If it's secured, like a HELOC, it's going to have a lower interest rate than an unsecured.
Let's say the HELOC.
It's a riskier, yeah. So let's assume for a minute that you exhausted your lines of credit, you liquidated them, you now have that money sitting in cash, and you're sitting here waiting. Well, that's costing you interest. Okay? I mean, it's no different than writing a check. I mean, you can literally write a check from a line of credit. I would rather have that line of credit paid off and have a zero balance, but $100,000 or $150,000 or $500,000 limit, whatever the limit might be, than to have that cash on hand. I'm not sure if that's what you were asking, or if that's where you're going with that.
Well, I just want to understand. I want my round-uppers to understand the interest. Like for me, I don't pay interest if I don't use the money. I mean, I can bring it.
Exactly. So exactly.
That's where I was going.
While it's sitting there, having a line of credit in existence costs you nothing. If you don't use it, it's not going to cost you anything. Now, the longer I have that line of credit in operation, those funds at play. I just bought today. I bought a house today for 111 or 112 or something like that. Okay. As soon as I pull out that $111,000 and go to the title company and put that money down and close on it, that $111,000 is costing me interest on whatever the daily rate's calculated out to on that line of credit. And it's the cost of doing business. It's the cost of being that liquid. Now, if you worked your butt off at your 9 to 5 and you earned money, or you wholesaled houses until you could stash enough cash, or you liquidated your IRA or 401k or whatever, so that you then had $112,000, using that $112,000 in cash that you had saved from another mechanism that doesn't technically cost you money. All right. But it's opportunity cost. It's opportunity cost. If I liquidated my 401k or IRA or whatever people have these days, I've got SEPs, for instance, self-employed.
Yeah.
So if I liquidated some of that, the opportunity cost is man, that thing was earning 17%.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, our year to date on our financial stuff, I mean, it's not doing bad. I hear these guys saying, "Oh, the economy's not doing well," but like,
Oh man, it's
man,
grinding.
I'm
This thing
deep in the double
grind.
digits, and I don't
Yeah.
even know what I'm in.
This thing's
I don't control those.
it's
I'm a
grinding.
very passive, uh, mutual funds investor, but an active real estate investor. But
I
anyway,
hear that.
so if you pull that out so that you could be liquid, well, it's costing you whatever you would have been earning in that mutual fund or 401k or IRA, whatever it is. Right? But if you have that line of credit, it costs you nothing if you don't use it.
Nice.
Right? And
Nice.
you've got that cash. Now, you could be stupid. You could say, "Oh man, I'm going to go buy a new car. I'm going to buy a boat, or
Consumable.
I'm going to." You could spend it
Consumable
on
good.
consumables. Absolutely, absolutely, and it'd be foolish. So you got to be smart with it. And I would especially never use a HELOC for consumables.
Consumable.
I actually only use our lines of credit for real estate. This is, I'm trying to build a portfolio. We got a goal. We got a mission. We got a
That's a
plan.
muscle though. I remember my first line of credit, Eric, when I was 28, man. Anyway, you know how that ended
I
up.
would
I
have
mean,
been I would have gone further backwards. If I had these lines of credit when I was 28, I'd be way back there.
dude, I think that muscle I think life has to teach us that muscle, my brother.
Sure. Well, life and YouTubers and entrepreneurs who have been there and done that.
So
We
are you
learn from other people's experience,
There you go.
for sure.
There you go. So are you telling me, Eric, that I could possibly consider money just like another item on the shelf at a grocery store where it has a cost to do business, perhaps?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, a lot of the people who want to get started obviously get started in no or low money down or whatever the saying is, and creative financing. And I totally support that if that's the route you want to go. But a lot of people go into this without the capacity to put their own physical, tangible, I
I'm
can
telling you.
touch it and it hurts when I let it go money
That's important, man.
down. And
You
it's
know what? That's
important.
important.
I think it's important for people to have some skin in the game, because we've
Yes.
we've seen people buy houses subject to and truly do the sellers wrong
Oh
when
man,
things go awry and they can't make the payment, or otherwise they default on the loan.
yeah.
And we've seen situations like that, and it makes the rest of us look bad, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important, I think, to have some skin in the game. It's important to know how to budget for your household, so you know how to set your goals, things like that. It's important to be able to quantify your own success so you can see trends. I believe everybody should know how to do a personal financial statement, because even when you are very, very new to this, the first thing that you ever do, if it's to create a personal financial statement, you're starting at zero, because I've not started the journey yet. Or maybe you've done well in your job and you got 100 cash and you're starting at whatever level it is, a net worth level. Well, then if you can trend that over the next couple of months or a couple of years, and you'll be able to see the things that you're doing right or the things that you're doing wrong. And having skin in the game, being able to put some of your own money at work, the cost of doing business, so to speak, being able to keep that scorecard, being able to do a personal financial statement and a budget, allows you then to go to your bank and say, "Look, here's where I am.
Yes.
Will you give me another line of credit, or will you extend
Nice.
to me more loans, or whatever?" And I've
Nice.
had banks tell me, well, we're going to cap you at this much dollars in leverage. And when they have told me that, when I get there, I show them my scorecard, I show them my budget or what we're doing. I show them, I explain to them where we're at, and they're like, all right, we'll raise that.
Wow.
And it
Okay.
increases the capacity to go faster,
Hmm.
more speed.
Nice. So I'm thinking, Matt, I know when we talk about the no cash, no credit type deals, I was looking back over my career since 2004, and I kind of felt like the more I focused on no cash, no credit deals, it was almost like the universe or God, whoever you want to call it, continued to keep me going down that path, Matt. I'm sorry, Eric, as opposed to allowing me when I decided to put some of my own money in. It's almost like then that muscle of having capital to work with actually got stronger, as opposed to always looking for the way, like you just said, no money
Mm-hmm.
down or no money down. What do you think about that, Matt? Keep calling you Matt, man.
That's all right. I know who you're talking to.
Eric, I'm sorry, brother. I'm thinking about Matt because I've been talking to Matt all day about this thing.
I'm with you. When he returns my phone calls, I enjoy talking to him.
Yeah.
I hope he watches this. You better return my phone call. All right. So I look at it like, when I go work on my race car or something, if I only had a 10 millimeter socket, I could do some things, but I couldn't do a whole lot. I need the tool bag. I need the tool chest. I got a rolling tool cart with hundreds of tools in it. I need that whole stinking thing, right? Low and no money down creative financing, that's one wrench, that's one tool. Now, really, it's one tool bag, but it's not the whole set.
Yeah.
So when you think of creative financing, you can do it subject to, you can do owner financing if they own it free and clear, you can do a contract for deed, you can do several of those creative things, but it's still somewhat limited in scope, because when a deal comes across your desk and it doesn't fit one of those niches, it goes away. Now, if you add one more tool of wholesaling, you might be able to capitalize on that by lead gen and then referrals or assignment fees to somebody like me who has maybe a larger tool chest. But and I don't mean that to create a disparity, a different tool bag, let's say. But if it doesn't fit somebody's tool bag, if it doesn't fit somebody's specified niche, if they can only do subject to, they can only do creative financing because they don't have the liquidity, they don't have any money, or if they don't have banks waiting and wanting to lend to them, then it limits their capacity to grow. Well, part of what I'm calling the need for speed and acquiring that escape velocity is enlarging your tool bag. I want to be able to do all of those things. I can do subject to, I can do creative financing, I can find low and no money down deals, and I can refinance and pull out 110% of my cash, take that extra 10, buy some more with it, and I could do all those things and more. And when you get to that point, and not to say that I'm done learning, so to speak, but when you keep adding those tools, one being using your own money or using lines of credit.
That is a tool. You're saying that is a tool.
It's a tool. It's just one more tool in the chest. Because I've got one subject to, I think now. We've had capacity to do others, but it's been more advantageous to go the more traditional route. But I do have the capacity to do subject to. With the title company that we just created in Clarksville, Apex Title, we're going to have the capacity to do subject tos and close quickly, which is valuable because they're going to
go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
People might miss a mortgage payment, or they might be in danger of foreclosure. Like, you need to be able to move quickly. Well, having all those tools in place, if you're looking through, such a narrow lens, imagine looking through the toilet paper roll holder. You only have such a wide view. If you have that wider perspective, you can do so many more things. Obviously, you can move faster. I'm beating a dead horse, but I'm passionate about that.
Me too, brother. It's weird. I feel honored. I'm talking to a criminal defense attorney talking about subject to. Where every day I walk out my front door, people look at me like I'm just this. Like, it can't be done. I'm like, if the criminal defense attorney is talking about subject to roundup families, it must not be that bad. It can't. I'm like, you are the one defending the guy, and you're doing subject to. Not saying that you do it all the time, but
it's clearly not my preferred strategy.
Yeah,
and it's not the easy way, I think.
Gotcha.
But for somebody who's just getting started and they really want to get into real estate, I can see the allure, and I understand why so many people do it.
Yep. We're good on time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm multitasking. Sorry.
Nice. Okay. Roundup family.
Oh man, we got a ton of questions.
We'll get to those in a minute. We got a few coming in. Eric Yow I will be joining Eric and Matt. I put the link right there. December 12th, Nashville, Tennessee. I cannot wait to hang out at the Gaylord Hotel. It's just going to be nice. Join me and Eric to learn this real estate investing business along with Matt Lyerla. He's going to be the headliner, but it's actually his event, the Cash Flow Conference. And we have a bunch of other speakers also. But Eric, are you going to be talking about how to obtain some of these lines of credit at the conference there?
I am. So the title of my subject matter is "The Need for Speed: Reaching Escape Velocity in Residential Real Estate."
Gotcha.
And there's a I love teaching, and I think I only have an hour, so I'm going to try to get about 4 hours of material into that 1 hour.
What's
But
wrong with that?
we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about how to leverage yourself into a position where a bank will want to lend you money, which is kind of the contrary position to what maybe creative financing gurus might typically teach. They might teach, no banks, we don't want to use banks. Well, let me give you the flip side of that coin and tell you how banks have made me particularly successful.
I'm not mad at it, brother. I mean, I still deal with banks. My bankers love me. I pay off my principal early. But I love it when you said having cash is a tool. And one of my mentors, Damon Dash, talks about if you're a real boss, you're putting some money up.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, if you think about when you buy subject to, if you don't have cash reserves
Oh man, you're
laid by in store, what happens when you suffer a vacancy for a couple of months because a tree falls in the house or whatever?
Yeah.
I mean, bad stuff is going to happen. I tell my students in my real estate consulting that there are going to be terrible things that happen, and you can pretty much bank on everything going wrong every time. It's just, and I know that's hyperbole, it's exaggeration because obviously we've reached some level of success, but every flip house, you underestimate the rehab, you overestimate the ARV, and I mean,
every time.
You pull back some drywall, there's going to be some rock termite damage. Every time there's just something that's going to go wrong. And so if you think about a house where you've got a new investor who's got very little money and it's a low or no money deal where they're trying to get in with creative financing and they're like, all right, I'm now a real estate investor. Well, if you don't have any money or if you don't have some cash in savings, what happens when things go wrong? Are you going to not pay the mortgage? And who does that hurt? Well, it hurts them, the seller, right?
Yeah.
And if the seller knows what they're doing, they're going to go to an attorney and they're going to eat your lunch, and get a judgment against you so that you never have cash. And it's a dangerous proposition to not have some level of liquidity.
There you go. Rounduppers, get your questions in here on the left side from my friend Eric Yow. He's going to be doing he's going to be talking about some of the conventional financing and how to actually, escape velocity. I love that analogy, how to actually break out. And you know what though, Eric, I mean, dude, I know I sense that you have very large goals. And I'm just thinking about, just generally speaking, how much cash flow passive does the general average American need to kind of get that escape velocity? Not, 50 doors can kind of seem overwhelming for the average new investor.
Sure.
Eric.
Well, it depends, and it depends on a whole lot of factors. And I know that it depends is a lawyer thing to say, but it really does. So it depends on what level of income that you think you need to live off of. It depends on the standard of living that you intend to keep. It depends on the cost of living in a particular locale that you might find yourself in. You could take someone who's in California, barely eking by $100,000 a year, put them in Clarksville with the same money, and that money just goes further. It's cheaper to live here, obviously, than there. But it depends on a lot of things. And what I'll teach people in my real estate consulting is that you need to first have a budget before you can have a goal.
Gotcha.
And if you can't do your budget, if you don't know how to do the math to figure out what it takes to do your household budget by going to your bank statements and figuring out every dollar that you spend, here's how I do it, and here's how I teach it. Get 6 months of bank statements, allocate every single dollar that you've spent for the last 6 months into a column, and know where your money's going. And divide that by 6 and categorize it, create a budget. That takes a day, maybe 2 days in a lot of cases, depending on how heavy you spend. But then you have your budget. Well, if I know that to make all of my monthly bills, I need $36,000 a year, all right, then maybe your goal isn't that high. Because if you need to just make enough, $36,000 a year, your goal doesn't have to be 50 or 60 or 100 or 1,000 houses. But that's just to make your goals. Well, I also want to travel, or I want to own a race team, or I want to buy an NFL team. I want to, whatever your goals are. I'm big in philanthropy. I'm a God-fearing person. I believe in Jesus Christ, and I want to do good in His name. We've created a 501c3.
Nice.
I tithe our profits into this 501c3, and we're doing some amazing things with it. We're getting into
Wow.
affordable real estate here in Clarksville, Montgomery County, Tennessee. So the part of my goal is not I want to be very successful. It's I want to be
Help
successful
others.
so that I can do those things. All right.
Yeah.
So if you can do your budget and figure out what you want to do, then you can work backwards into what you need to do to get there.
Work
Right.
backwards.
So if I know that it's going to take me 60,000, and I'm just using the number just for hypotheticals, if I know it's going to take me $60,000 a year for me to make my $36,000 a year in budget and have $24,000 a year left over, $2,000 a month, and spend, play money, give away money or whatever,
Mhm.
then I need 50 houses. If each of those houses cash flows $100. By the way, there's a little side note when I teach this, you got to know how to calculate cash flow. And the way I do it, this is very quickly, is I want a deal that is a 1 or 1.2% rent to investment ratio. We can talk
Rent.
about that some other time if you need, but
Yeah, we'll cover that in Nashville.
yeah, we'll cover that another day. But that basically cash flows after property management, after debt service, after I use 15% as a multiplier for capex, repairs, maintenance, and vacancy. If after all that it makes $100,
Gotcha.
that's one door that makes $100 net cash flow. I need 50. I mean, that's how you do that math. So you figure out what's your goal using your budget ultimately to get to that goal. What is my escape velocity? How do I get there? What do I got to do to get there? And then you work backwards into your starting point.
Gotcha. Nice.
And honestly, what I teach is what people will find is when you get that one, you may think, well, I need 5 a year for 10 years to get to that 50. All right. If you get 5 your first year, I promise you're going to get 10 to 15 in year 2.
Yeah.
You're going to get 20 to 25 in year 3, and you're going to be there so fast.
It's the first one's the hardest. Yeah, the first one's are the hardest ones to even
come. It's the first one.
Mm-hmm. I heard you say helping people. I'm looking back at my life, and I'm like, I really didn't feel fulfilled until I got a mission, Eric, and I started helping people. It almost changed my my outlook on just my, personal success is one thing, but it's like when you start to pass some of that success on, it kind of changes the way you think. Tell me your point of view on that, Eric. I heard some of it with your philanthropy.
Sure. So if you're doing whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's in business or your job or entrepreneurialism or philanthropy or real estate, investing, whatever it is, if you're doing it merely for personal financial gain, I think you're wasting your time.
Mm-hmm.
You may find success, you may find wealth and riches, and if that's your goal, it's going to leave you wanting. Ecclesiastes teaches that very clearly. I mean, there's no true joy in material things, but it's what material things allow you to do, and when you do it for the benefit of someone else, I mean, it echoes in my mind and heart. It's more blessed to give than to receive, especially. I mean, now, of course, Christmas coming up, we're thinking, how much cooler is it for me to be able to give somebody something than for them to give it to me? Like, I don't really need anything right now. If you gave me something, I would appreciate it. I really would. Especially, I mean, I'd love a Lamborghini Aventador. Chris, if you would give me one of those, I would appreciate it. But how much cooler would it be if I could be as successful or philanthropic or whatever to be able to give away $300,000 or $400,000 like that? Not right, to give somebody a car, but I mean, how much cooler would it be for me to be able to give that to somebody else or to divide that across my community?
It's weird. It's crazy how I think. Man, we aren't born like that. I think we're born like, I gotta get. And then we kind of gradually see that, you know what? The only true way to win is to serve and to give.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm definitely convinced. And it took us about a year of investing to realize, hey, we're actually making some money doing this, and we should be putting that money to work. We were giving to our church, and we were doing some good in our community, which we've been doing for years, my wife and I, and our 2 kids, but it occurred to us that we could do something more, something greater. Didn't know what it was. So about 2 years ago, end of 2017, we created the Yow Foundation, yowfoundation.org. And I mean, it's a legitimate 501c3. It's a private foundation, not even yet knowing what we were going to do with it. So we've been tithing into this entity and then doing good in our community. And And obviously, tax-free money goes further than taxed money.
Mhm.
Another subject for another seminar or webcast. But when at the beginning of this year, a couple of people had said, "Wow, Yao, you've got some success in real estate. Why don't you try to use that in the foundation?" And enough people had pointed me in that direction where it's like, all right, let's do that. I think God's talking to me when enough people have told me to do that. So now we've comprised a board, and we're looking at the affordable rentals market or the affordable housing market in Clarksville to try to combat the homelessness in our community. We've got an above average homeless population in Montgomery County, Tennessee, and we're working on not even Section 8 necessarily. Before Section 8 with
Wow.
transitional rentals and short-term rentals, just to
Good.
get people off the streets, what they call rehousing and so forth. Rapid rehousing, I believe they call it. We're working in that vein. And I don't
Nice.
mean to detour the show towards
No, you good.
just that. Man, it's
Mission.
to be able to do that. And I mean, you drive down the street and you see somebody who's in need, you give them $5. It's gratifying in your heart, I hope, if in the name of the Lord you give them $5. What if you could give them a house?
That'd be nice. Wow.
You know what you got to do to be able to give them a house? You got to buy houses.
Wow. Thank you for your time. Let's get to some Q&A. Brother Eric, get your questions in over there on the chat box, rounduppers. If you're catching the replay, make sure you click that button. You can see the questions come in. I'll read them to you, Eric, so you don't have to follow along there. I'll get them. Matter of fact, I'll bring them on the screen. Rounduppers, go ahead and get registered up. You'll meet me and Eric and Matt down in Nashville, Tennessee at the Gaylord. There is the information in the video description. It'll take you right to the website. Use the coupon code Chris to get a $500 discount. Felicia's buying her second rental property. Praise God. Good for you, Felicia.
Good job.
Good job.
Bye, Felicia.
Louis, I don't know if it's Louis. What's the lowest amount a bank would loan for an investment property? That's a good question, because a lot of them do have stipulations on how much they would loan, Eric.
Yeah, it's just going to vary bank to bank, and what I would recommend is put on a suit and tie, get a haircut, clean shave, take the gauges out of your ear, whatever you got to do to look professional, and go into the bank, sit at their desk, and sit upright, be assertive, look professional, have your scorecard, your personal financial statement, and then just talk to them. And my MO is to go talk to 3 or 4 or 5 banks and make them compete. When they make an offer to, well, we'll do 30, but we can't go on a 20,000 or whatever the deal is.
Yeah.
Say, well, all right, I'm going to go talk to this one down the street, and then if I need to, I'll come back, and make the banks compete against one another.
It's funny, Eric. My mentor used to tell me, get your stuff together, like you said, get your scorecard. When I walk in to renew my line, I've got lines of credit, right? I have to renew them every so often, whatever. I walk in there with a binder. It's almost got a glossary, my friend, where you can see my leases, boom, tax return, boom, financial statement.
Brilliant. That's brilliant.
What's crazy is that when I give it to them, they are so blown away.
Yes.
They are blown away.
Because nobody else is doing that.
Go. I'm sorry.
It's not that hard.
It's not that difficult to do.
But you got to be disciplined. You got to be systematic in your records keeping and things like that. I mean, you have to for your taxes, and even if you just went in there with your tax return to say, hey, look, I'm not living under a bridge. I have income. Here's our net at the end of the month or at the end of the year, whatever, to be able to show them that, because other people aren't doing that. And if the guy who came in right before you came in with the yellow pad with nothing on it, and you come in with a binder, who's getting a loan?
I'm telling you, it's simple. You know what? When I remember my mentor was like, Chris, if you walk to the bank, get this binder, showed me how to do it. I walked in there. He's like, man, the dude that came in before you gave us his tax returns, and it had all sticky kind of syrup on it. He did it. This was just the other day I went in there for a renewal. He's like, Chris, man, this is something. Matter of fact, this time I didn't have
a coffee cup stain on it.
Eric, it doesn't take much. I went to Office Max and I actually got one of those ring binders and put it all together. Yeah. It didn't take much, man. To me, they love it. They tell me, they're like, you know what? We enjoy when you come in. They enjoy it, because they're used to seeing the guy come in, dropping this crap. Yeah, you go figure it out.
Exactly. Exactly. But you and I need those guys to make us look good. So y'all keep coming in with your coffee stains.
Rich Terry says, "Hey, what's going on, my friend Eric? Are you buying your properties outright and then financing them, or are you pairing the lines of credit with hard money or another mortgage, then refinancing them?" It's a good question.
That is a good question and multifaceted. We could go for a while on this if we tried. But
You know,
so part of liquidity is having money available to be able to make that immediate purchase as soon as the deal comes or as soon as you can attack and jump on it. It could be with hard money or it could be with private money, it could be with your own cash or lines of credit or some combination of those things. And what he's asking is, am I pairing some of these together, pulling from multiple sources to make those acquisitions, and then refinancing to get it all on one commercial loan? And the answer is sometimes I'll do that, especially for a large purchase. I had a deal come across my desk very recently that I was not able to capitalize on because the prospective assignee changed his mind, and that's perfectly okay. He was going to close, but then when they couldn't close, they came to me because they knew I could. Well,
mm,
even for me, it was a pretty big ask because it was something like I think 800 in cash or something that I needed to come down with to be able to close the deal or something. I can't remember what the exact numbers were, but it would have been a little bit of a stretch to be able to make that quick of a step. I would have had to pull from multiple sources to get it
gotcha,
done. To
gotcha.
be more specific, the way I'm doing it right now, I'm buying a lot of my properties that are within the boundaries of those lines of credit. And we have enough lines of credit that I'm typically not going to exhaust those.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Cool. Good question, Rich. Andrew, thanks for bringing us this info. Thank you for watching on Facebook. Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah, thanks for sure.
John, I currently use his HELOC home equity line of credit, my rounduppers, to purchase a condo. However, I want to buy another property. Good for you. Any suggestions on how to get money to fund my next deal without, I guess, without refinancing it? Because that will deplete his cash flow. That is true. The refinance is going to make your payment go up.
I mean, do you want me to attack this? Because I will.
Yeah,
Uh,
Eric, that's what we hear. That's why you in the hot
it
seat, bro.
You didn't buy it right. If you used a HELOC to purchase a condo, assuming that is rental property, and then that rent would cover the interest payment on the HELOC and leave you plenty of cash flow. But if you refinanced it, it would not cash flow. You
Mm.
shouldn't have bought the condo.
What do you mean
Now
by
that's
that,
well,
Eric?
candidly, it's too blanket of a statement for me to even say that because I don't know why he bought it. If he bought it for cash flow, it clearly doesn't if he refinanced it, right?
Ah, so it only
Right.
worked on that money.
If it only works on the HELOC, you just tied up your HELOC for an indefinite amount of time. You have now the one. If you refinance it, you can get another one, then another one, then another one. Well, if you refinance it and it doesn't cash flow, then you're in somewhat of a predicament.
Yeah.
Now you may have this guy John. You may not have bought it for cash flow, or maybe you did. You might have bought it because that condo is in a particularly good area, an A or a B plus area where it's going to appreciate, or maybe the
Yeah.
principal reduction on it might create some equity where in 10 years you can cash out, things like that. But if your purchase was so that you could have indefinite cash flow and you want to be able to refinance and do it again and again and again, you simply have to have the numbers right in the very beginning.
Gotcha.
Um,
About to
One
pay.
thing that you could do, since you're asking for a suggestion on how to get one to fund to cash out, I would still do the BRRRR strategy. I would still refinance, but I would leave some of my own money in the deal.
Pay it down. Yeah.
And I've done that from time to time because I've bought houses to flip. They didn't flip well, or they didn't sell well, or the rehab took a lot longer and a lot more money. And so we wound up having to refinance. But I had 120 in the house. We refinanced 100. Right.
Hmm.
Well, I leave my $20,000 in the house. That allows it to cash flow. So
Gotcha.
it still cash flows, and then you can just create or calculate your return on investment of that 20,000. So that 20 grand that you left in the house, it's still got a cash on cash return
Leave it in there.
in the cash flow that gets that's present after your BRRRR.
I'm not mad at leaving money in houses. You know, everybody has their strategy, but to me, I mean, I don't know a better way to leave it. For me, I don't know a better place to put it when I can always borrow it back. You know.
Well, it diminishes liquidity to some degree, obviously, and maybe cash flow isn't necessary. I don't know John's situation, but
Yeah.
John, if you can live without that cash flow, pull the cash out, buy something that does,
Yeah.
and then keep on going.
Hey, what up, my brother in Detroit, Mr. Buck Nasty? Oh goodness. When doing a subject too, is it possible to receive a down payment from a lease option tenant buyer before closing on the buying side? If so, could you give a brief explanation on how to structure that? I don't know if you want to do that one, Eric.
I mean that would take a while for one thing, and it might be construed as legal advice, and I'm not going to give legal advice
Yeah.
on the propriety of engaging in one contract when another one has not become ripened.
Yeah. I would want you to kind of do it together, or maybe just take a partial payment, maybe put something in escrow, but I don't take any money until I close the deal. I would want you to have that deal, Mr. Buck Nasty.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah. I would err on the side of Eric. He's a man. I'm just a guy. RW. Hey, I have a order finance in Texas. Good. Seller is asking 475,000. ARV is 366,000. Sounds about how it goes on people that are going to order finance. Seller owes 300. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. They owe 300. Asking 475, but they owe 300. Could this work, or do I need to get him down to have some equity?
Am I reading that right? Where it's worth 366 and he wants 475?
They want asking 475. I have never yet met a seller that's asking below what
Right.
it's worth. I always meet sellers that ask for more. But it's worth 366 and they owe 300. Yeah, you gotta get him down some. Good gracious.
Yeah, you absolutely have to work that down. When I come across deals like this, even when they're particularly attractive because of owner finance, if there's something else that's really ugly about the deal, the attractive parts can't make up for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if they're willing to owner finance, that's great. But if they want 30% more than it is worth, you know how long it would take you to make up that 30% in equity?
Years.
I mean, the equity curve, if you were to graph that out, it's years.
And you're in Texas, Eric. You got taxes up the wazoo down there. Real estate taxes.
Yeah. And there are just so many other deals out there.
Yeah. Chase Dollars. Hey, can you explain leveraging your secure credit towards an unsecured loan to higher the limit? Is that something you went over, Eric?
I want to know if that guy's name is Chase and if his last name is Dollars, because that would be awesome. All right. So he asked, can you explain leveraging your secure credit towards an unsecured loan to a higher limit?
I think you put some money. You were talking about putting.
What I was talking about is using liquidity, using actual dollars. So I'm a big proponent of having money stashed, emergency fund. You know, if you're the Dave Ramsey follower, you got your baby steps. You know, I think baby step 3 is fully funded emergency fund. So at one point we had 50 in an account online, and I went to a bank and I said, hey, will you give me a $100,000 unsecured line of credit? Nice. And they said no, because we don't have any money on deposit at our bank with you. And so I said, well, what if I bring you some money? I'll put my emergency fund in one of your money market accounts. And they said, all right, but we want to use that as security for the line of credit. Mm-hmm. So basically, if I defaulted on that $100,000 line of credit, they've at least got 50 securing that, the rest of that line of credit, that 100 or whatever it is. You know, I can't strictly tap into that 50, right? Because it's security for the line of credit. But what the cool thing is, that 50, I mean, it's in a money market account, so it's making something like 2.1 or 2.3%. Mm-hmm. But the line of credits cost me 7 or something.
Nice.
So the arbitrage or whatever they call it, you know, it's really a net 4.3% or something like 4.7%. So that line of credit is a very effective line of credit.
I'm gonna do that myself. I'm thinking about when I was in college, they said there was something called an endowment that they said you gotta have an endowment. You gotta have capital sitting around to the side. You gotta have some. Big dope. If I purchased a home with an FHA loan and owner occupy, would it be possible to refi and HELOC that house in a year or two and start the speed process, or would I need a different loan?
What I would do, and actually what I did do, my first house is I paid that FHA down as much as I could, as fast as I could. And as soon as you had enough to get a line of credit, go get a line of credit.
Yeah,
And
man.
then as you continue to pay down that loan, obviously the money that you're making on the cash that you're putting on the house is equal to the percentage savings that you have in the interest rate on that house. So if it costs, if the house loan is at 5%, every dollar that you put, you're saving yourself that 5% of interest rate. Well, if you got a $200,000 house and you pay that down to say 100, and you just hammer it, you absolutely hammer that debt, FHA loan or otherwise, owner occupied, you hammer that debt. Then you take it to a bank and you say, I want to HELOC on that house. They're going to do it. I mean, it's super easy. It's easy money for them because it's secured by an asset with plenty of equity. Now, they're not going to give you the other 100. If it's a $200,000 house, you owe 100. They're going to give you probably 75 or 80% loan value. So call that 160 minus the 100. You're going to get a $60,000 line of credit.
Yep.
And it's super, super good to do that.
Good question. Good question. Last one, and we'll get Eric out of here. Nickel, hey, my friend. Nickel Mesa Real Estate. I have a refinance with my bank and will receive $75,000 in cash. Okay, better use it wisely. Should I pay off my credit cards to 30% and spend $30,000, or buy more homes? Man, that's a tough one.
I love this question. I love it. So, and I kind of know why he's asking this. So I came from the Dave Ramsey school of thought, where you're hammering your debt. You're absolutely hammering it. Get out of that debt. So you're going to refinance the house, you reposition yourself. The house is going to have a lower interest rate than the credit card, but it really depends on what you're going to do, what your discipline is, where the opportunities are. Because if I'm given X number of dollars, doesn't matter how many number of dollars that you're going to give. If I'm given ever so much money, what can I then do with that? Well, if I have no deals, no opportunities in front of me, I'm just sitting on cash.
Yep.
Well, if I can then take that cash and put it against a credit card that is costing me 10 or 20% a month, put it against a credit card. And the money that you make in your rate of return is the savings, that 10 or 20% on that credit card. Right. But the question is, should I do that, or should I invest in real estate? Well, if the opportunity to invest in real estate is going to net gain you more, then that's the arbitrage. If my credit card costs me 10%, but I can make 20% over here, well, I'm going to make a net 10% on that money. I should invest in real estate.
Nice.
So there's some debt aversion questions that you'd want to look at. There's the question of whether or not you have those opportunities.
And
you have the
skill.
You have the opportunities. Do you have the sophistication, the intellect? All those things. I mean, it's a deep question.
That is, Nickel Mesa. I think we need to know shit before we even talk about money. We need to know what opportunities are on your desk. We need to know your skill level. We need to know do you understand how to buy at a discount? Do you understand how to manage tenants? I mean, Eric.
Well, he said buy more homes, so presumably he's got a rental portfolio.
Yeah,
if that's the case, then he probably knows how to calculate a deal and cash flow and whether or not he's going to get a solid return on his investment. And if you can get 20-25% return on investment in a rental house, which is fairly common, fairly typical, when you count cash flow and principal reduction, appreciation, tax advantages, and all that, you can be in the 30s and 40s pretty easily. If you can do that, then for me, it's pretty easy. You do that.
Yeah.
But I don't like credit cards, and I'd say get rid of the credit cards if it's a consumer debt mechanism.
Yeah.
If you're buying clothes and toys and stuff, my position, since he asked, is I'd get rid of that and use that money for investment purposes.
There you go. Eric Yow, hanging out with the Roundup family. Brother Eric, thank you so much for dropping some jewels on us, and you will be, let me get my banner back up here.
And this was great fun. This was awesome. Makes me want to go watch some more of your shows.
Oh, wow, that's cool. I'm honored. I am so honored to make your acquaintance and just listen to what you opened up my mind. I forgot about that strategy of borrowing money against my capital that's sitting, because we have obviously, I call it an endowment. Right? When I was in college, man, we had $100 million endowment when I came in. Right? When I graduated, we had a $200 million endowment, which is peanuts compared to some colleges, a lot compared to others. It depends on what school you went to. So it kind of put into my spirit, like, always have some type of capital reserve somewhere. There's
Sure.
capital reserve somewhere, because something, Murphy's Law, something will happen eventually.
Well, and even if it's not Murphy's Law, if an opportunity presents itself, you need to be able to move and move quickly. So that's why we're talking about the need for speed and escape velocity in residential real estate, being able to be of the intellectual capacity and of the liquidity to know when that deal comes, I can move quickly.
Nice. Okay. Well, this is it. I don't see any more questions, Brother Eric. I will be seeing you in a few weeks, and I thank you for your time, my friend.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Appreciate you. Thank you for letting me be here.
Okay, cool. All right. Do business with you, or maybe
absolutely. I mean, you can find me on Facebook, Eric Yow, ERCYOW. I'm an attorney in Clarksville, Tennessee. We've got a title company called Apex Title. So if you have any deals in and around Clarksville, let us know. Apex Title. I also do real estate consulting for investors. And you can find more about that at yowhomebuyers.com. That's YOW homebuyers.com. And if you got any wholesalers in the mix that are in our area, I'm always looking for deals. I'm always looking for ways to step the game up.
Cool. Roundup family, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Take a second, hit that bell so you know when we'll be going live. And next week we will be having the gender reveal for our new arrival that's coming on Thanksgiving Day. So look out for that.
Wow. A good deal.
Thank you, my friend. Roundup. Having that next Thursday. My wife is actually there now. They're going to be telling. We won't even know the gender till next week, but Roundup. Please stay tuned. Hit the bell so you know all that's going on. And join us December 12th in Nashville, Tennessee at the Gaylord with Matt Lyerlis, All-In Investor Cash Flow Conference. Okay, Brother Eric, I'll see you soon.
All right, man. See you soon.
Peace.